Welcome to World Numismatic Finds, where hidden history meets big money potential. Today we're unveiling our top 4 rare UK 1-penny coins with a truly greedy collector's outlook. Coins that many in the UK might dismiss as rusty, dirty, corroded, or simply well circulated, yet could still spark serious excitement in the numismatic world. From the 1903 penny in rusty condition, the 1918 penny caked in decades of grime, the 1939 penny showing heavy corrosion, right through to the 1963 penny in everyday circulating condition, these humble copper coins prove that age, survival, and story can sometimes matter more than shine. Keep watching, because one of these old pennies might just surprise you with its hidden appeal and collector interest. Elias Get Startup Witty, the UK 1-penny coin dated 1903, a piece that at first glance may look humble or even neglected due to its rusty condition, but which continues to spark excitement and curiosity among collectors across the world. Coins like this are not just loose change from the past. They are silent witnesses to another era, and in today's collector market they are often spoken about with real enthusiasm, strong demand, and surprisingly bold values. The year 1903 places this penny firmly in the Edwardian period, during the reign of King Edward VII, a time when Britain stood as a global power with trade routes stretching across continents. The penny was an everyday coin, used by working families, shopkeepers, and children buying sweets from the corner shop. Because it passed through so many hands, finding one today in pristine condition is difficult, which is why even worn or rusty examples attract attention. Each mark, scratch, and patch of corrosion tells a story of real use, of pockets, purses, and long journeys through a changing Britain. On the front of the coin, the head side features the dignified portrait of King Edward VII, facing right, with a neatly trimmed beard and a calm, confident expression. This portrait symbolized stability and continuity after the long Victorian era. Even on a rusty example, the outline of the king's profile can usually still be recognized, and collectors often find a certain charm in seeing how time has softened the once sharp details. The inscription around the portrait would have originally declared his title and authority, reinforcing the power of the monarchy at the dawn of the 20th century. Turning the coin over reveals the classic reverse design that many people instantly associate with old British pennies. Britannia sits proudly, holding her trident and shield, representing Britain's naval strength and national identity. Behind her, the sea and horizon speak of an island nation that ruled the waves. Even when corrosion has darkened the surface, Britannia's pose and symbolism remain powerful. For many collectors, this design alone is enough to make the 1903 penny desirable, as it captures the spirit of Britain during a confident and influential period in its history. Beyond its appearance, this coin carries deep cultural and historical value. It represents a time before decimalization, when British currency was part of a complex system that defined everyday life. The penny was meaningful, practical, and widely used, making it a true people's coin. Owning one today feels like owning a small fragment of daily Edwardian life. That connection to ordinary people of the past is one of the strongest reasons demand for these coins remains high, even in less than perfect condition. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1903 1-penny coin was struck in bronze and weighs approximately 9.4 grams, giving it a solid feel that modern coins often lack. Its size and weight were intentional, designed to be durable enough for heavy circulation. Ironically, that same bronze composition is what can lead to rust-like corrosion over time, especially when stored improperly. Yet many collectors view this aged surface not as damage, but as character. There are several fascinating facts that add to the appeal of this coin. The Edward VII pennies were produced in large numbers, but survival rates in good condition are much lower due to heavy use. The year 1903 is particularly interesting because it sits early in Edward VII's reign, adding a sense of freshness and transition from the Victorian age. When a coin from this year surfaces today, even in rusty condition, it immediately draws attention from enthusiasts who specialize in pre-First World War British coinage. Rarity is where things become especially exciting. While millions were minted, far fewer have survived over a century later, and rusty circulated examples still play a key role in the collector market. Condition strongly affects value, but even a corroded coin can be desirable if the date and main design elements are clearly visible. Many collectors actively seek affordable entry pieces like this, driving consistent demand. The worn and rusty look often confirms authenticity and age, which some buyers actually prefer over cleaned or altered coins. Now let's talk about market value, where the story becomes truly eye-catching. In today's collector conversations, a 1903 UK 1-penny coin, even in rusty circulating condition, is often discussed with surprisingly high figures attached to it. Enthusiasts and sellers sometimes place bold valuations on these coins, with prices claimed to reach around $3,500, written clearly as $3,500, for examples believed to be especially scarce or historically appealing. Other optimistic estimates go even higher, with figures like $7,800, shown as $7,800, frequently mentioned to highlight just how desirable Edwardian pennies have become. While such values create excitement and buzz, they also reflect the strong demand and emotional appeal these coins hold in the market. For collectors, owning a coin like this is about more than just money. Anyone interested in adding a 1903 penny to their collection should focus on authenticity, clear date visibility, and overall eye appeal, even if the surface shows corrosion. Proper storage is essential, as keeping the coin dry and away from harsh environments can prevent further damage. Most importantly, collectors should enjoy the story behind the coin and the journey it has taken over more than a century. In the end, the 1903 UK 1 penny coin in rusty condition proves that beauty and value are not always found in perfection. Its worn surfaces, historic design, and Edwardian heritage combine to create a piece that is rich in character and highly sought after. Whether viewed as a potential high-value collectible or as a tangible link to Britain's past, this humble penny continues to capture imaginations and fuel demand, reminding us that even the smallest coins can carry the biggest stories. At number 2, the UK 1 penny coin from the year 1918, seen here in a dirty and well-used condition. At first glance, this humble copper coin may look ordinary, even neglected, but behind the grime lies a powerful connection to a dramatic era in British history. Coins like this were not just money, they were silent witnesses to a nation recovering from war, rebuilding lives, and redefining its future. This is exactly why collectors across the world are now paying serious attention to pieces like the 1918 penny, even when they appear worn or dirty. The story of the 1918 UK 1 penny begins at the closing stages of the First World War. Britain was emerging from years of conflict, and the Royal Mint continued striking bronze pennies to support everyday trade during a time of rationing and economic strain. These coins passed through countless hands, from factory workers and shopkeepers to soldiers returning home. A dirty surface today often tells a deeper story of heavy circulation rather than neglect, suggesting that this coin truly played its role in daily British life. That sense of authenticity is exactly what fuels modern collector demand, as people are increasingly drawn to coins that clearly show they were part of real history. On the front of the coin, the head side proudly displays King George V, facing left, with a dignified yet realistic portrait that reflects the seriousness of the era. The king's effigy symbolized stability and continuity at a time when Britain desperately needed reassurance. Even on a dirty or darkened example, the outline of the portrait often remains visible, and collectors appreciate this honest wear because it reflects originality. The inscription surrounding the portrait reinforces the authority of the monarch and the strength of the British Empire during a period of global uncertainty. Turning the coin over reveals the iconic Britannia seated with her trident and shield, a design that had already become deeply rooted in British identity. Britannia represents resilience, maritime power, and national pride, qualities that held immense meaning in 1918 as the country emerged victorious but exhausted from war. On a dirty coin, Britannia can sometimes appear almost ghost-like beneath layers of age, yet this only adds to the charm. Many collectors feel that cleaning such coins would erase part of their soul, as the dirt and patina are visual proof of their long journey through time. Culturally and historically, the 1918 penny holds strong appeal because it bridges two worlds, the brutal reality of wartime Britain and the hopeful transition into peace. This coin circulated during a year of enormous change, making it far more than a simple denomination. For collectors and history enthusiasts alike, owning a 1918 penny is like holding a tangible fragment of Britain's past, a small object that connects modern hands with a century-old story. That emotional value is a major reason demand for this coin continues to rise. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1918 1 penny was struck in bronze and weighs approximately 9.4 grams, with a solid feel that modern coins simply do not replicate. Even when dirty, the weight and thickness immediately signal quality and durability. This substantial feel is often mentioned by collectors as part of the coin's appeal, reinforcing the idea that older British coinage was built to last. There are several interesting facts that make this penny stand out. It was minted during a time when materials were precious, yet Britain maintained traditional designs to preserve national identity. Millions were produced, But survival in original circulated condition is becoming increasingly scarce as coins are lost, damaged, or overly cleaned. A dirty example that has not been tampered with can be more desirable than a harshly polished one, as originality is now a key driver of value in the collector market. When it comes to rarity and condition, the 1918 penny occupies an intriguing position. While it is not the rarest penny ever made, genuinely original examples with natural dirt and age are becoming harder to find. Many have been cleaned or discarded over the decades, making untouched pieces increasingly attractive. The condition shown here, despite being dirty, suggests honest circulation rather than abuse, and that honesty is exactly what serious collectors are hunting for today. Now let's talk about the part everyone loves, the market value. In today's rare coin market, even a dirty 1918 UK 1 penny can command surprising prices due to rising global demand. While average examples might trade for modest sums, high-demand listings and private collector sales have seen values pushed into the thousands of dollars. Some optimistic market valuations place this coin between $3,500 and $7,800 depending on originality, eye appeal, and collector competition. Exceptional demand scenarios and story-driven sales have even mentioned figures as high as $12,000 to $15,000 for standout examples, with prices clearly written as $12,000 or $15,000 to catch serious attention. These figures reflect hype, passion, and the emotional pull of owning a wartime British coin rather than just metal. For collectors considering a 1918 penny, patience and knowledge are essential. It is wise to focus on originality, avoid aggressive cleaning, and learn to appreciate natural dirt and aging as positive features. Storing the coin properly and understanding its historical background can significantly enhance both enjoyment and long-term value. Coins like this are no longer just collected. They are showcased, discussed, and proudly displayed as conversation pieces. In conclusion, the UK 1 penny coin from 1918, even in a dirty condition, stands as a powerful symbol of British resilience and heritage. Its connection to the end of the First World War, its iconic design, and its growing collector demand make it far more valuable than its face value suggests. As interest in historical British coins continues to surge, this humble penny is transforming into a highly desirable collectible with strong market buzz and impressive dollar figures attached. If you have one tucked away, or you are thinking of adding one to your collection, now may be the perfect time to look again at this small coin with a very big story. At number 3, the 1939 United Kingdom 1 penny coin, a piece that many people might overlook because of its worn and corroded condition, but one that has quietly become a talking point among collectors who appreciate character, survival, and historical presence. This is not just an old penny, it is a witness to the very moment Britain stepped into one of the most defining periods of the 20th century, and that alone gives it an undeniable aura and growing demand in the collector's market. The year 1939 stands out immediately in British history. It marks the outbreak of the Second World War, a time when uncertainty, resilience, and national unity defined everyday life. Coins minted in this year were struck just as the country was bracing itself for conflict, rationing, and dramatic change. The 1 penny from 1939 circulated widely during these turbulent times, passing through countless hands in shops, markets, and homes across Britain. A corroded example, far from being a flaw, often tells a deeper story, suggesting years spent in circulation, exposure to the elements, or even time hidden away underground or in damp storage, quietly aging while the world moved on. On the front of the coin, the head side proudly features the portrait of King George VI. His likeness, facing left, reflects a calm and steady presence, which many collectors associate with leadership during difficult times. Even when corrosion softens the finer details, the outline of the king's profile often remains strong enough to be instantly recognizable. Around the portrait, the Latin inscription, though sometimes partially worn, reinforces the authority of the monarchy and the formal style of British coinage of the era. This portrait connects the coin directly to a king who led Britain through war and recovery, adding emotional and historical depth to every surviving penny. Turning the coin over reveals the classic tail design that generations instantly associate with British pennies. Britannia seated, holding her trident and shield. This image symbolizes strength, stability, and maritime power, qualities that were especially meaningful in 1939 as Britain faced external threats. Even on a corroded coin, Britannia's seated form often remains visible, and collectors find something deeply appealing in seeing this iconic symbol endure despite surface damage. The corrosion can actually enhance the sense of age, making the coin feel more authentic and battle-scarred, rather than simply worn out. Culturally and historically, the 1939 one penny holds a special place. It represents the last moments of normal life before the full impact of wartime Britain took hold. These pennies were part of daily transactions during air raid preparations, evacuations, and ration book exchanges. Owning one is like owning a small fragment of that era, a tangible link to ordinary people living through extraordinary circumstances. This strong historical connection is one of the key reasons interest in 1939 coins continues to grow, especially among collectors who value story as much as condition. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1939 one penny was struck in bronze and has a solid, reassuring feel. The standard weight of the coin is approximately 9.4 grams, giving it a substantial presence for its size. Even when corrosion has eaten into the surface, most examples retain close to this original weight, which helps collectors authenticate them. The diameter and thickness, though sometimes slightly reduced by wear, still reflect the robust minting standards of pre-decimal British coinage. There are several key facts that make this coin particularly appealing. It was minted at a pivotal historical moment, features one of the most recognizable monarchs of the 20th century, and carries the timeless Britannia design. Corroded examples are especially interesting because they often indicate genuine long-term circulation or burial, which can be more attractive to certain collectors than artificially preserved pieces. These coins were not meant to be collectibles at the time, they were meant to be used, and that honest use now adds to their charm. When discussing rarity and condition, it's important to understand that while the 1939 one penny was produced in large numbers, surviving examples in any condition are now over 80 years old. Corroded coins may appear common at first glance, but demand has been steadily rising for pieces with clear dates and identifiable designs, even when the surfaces are rough. Many collectors actively seek corroded or heavily circulated coins because they feel more authentic and accessible, and because fewer intact examples remain available each year. Now let's talk about the part everyone loves to hear about: value. In today's highly enthusiastic and sometimes speculative collector's market, the 1939 UK one penny has been attracting attention with some surprisingly high claimed prices. Corroded examples with visible dates and strong historical appeal are often talked about in value ranges that sound almost unbelievable. Some sellers and collectors confidently place these coins in the range of $1,500, written clearly as $1,500, while others push the excitement even further, suggesting values of $3,000, shown as $3,000, or in particularly hyped cases even $5,000, displayed as $5,000. These figures create a sense of urgency and high demand, especially for people who discover such a coin tucked away in an old collection or inherited tin. For collectors, there are a few smart ways to approach a coin like this. Appreciating the story behind the corrosion, rather than trying to remove it, is key, as cleaning can destroy both character and perceived value. Storing the coin carefully to prevent further damage helps preserve what remains, and learning to recognize genuine details like the date, portrait outline, and Britannia design will always pay off. Sharing images and stories of such coins within collector communities also adds to their appeal and visibility, further fueling interest and demand. In conclusion, the 1939 UK one penny in corroded condition is far more than a damaged old coin. It is a survivor from the dawn of wartime Britain, carrying the faces, symbols, and spirit of an era that shaped modern history. Its rough surface tells a story of real use and real life, while the growing excitement around its market value, often spoken of in the thousands of dollars, has turned it into a highly talked-about piece. Whether you see it as a historical keepsake, a conversation starter, or a potential high-demand collectible, this humble penny proves that even the smallest coins can carry enormous significance and surprising appeal. At last, the 1963 penny is increasingly talked about as a sleeper coin, one that many people once ignored but now search for with renewed enthusiasm. This video explores why this modest copper coin has become a talking point, and why demand continues to grow in positive and exciting ways. The 1963 one penny was struck during a period when Britain was balancing tradition with change. The country was still using the pre-decimal system, and coins like this penny played a vital role in everyday life, from paying for newspapers to small household goods. Minted under Queen Elizabeth II's early reign, the coin reflects a confident post-war Britain that was rebuilding its economy while maintaining strong ties to its heritage. Millions were produced, yet decades of circulation mean that well-preserved examples are now far less common than people assume. Each circulated piece carries tiny marks and surface where that quietly tell the story of countless hands and transactions over the years. On the head side of the coin, the the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II stands proudly, designed by Mary Gillick. This elegant depiction captures the Queen in her early years, with refined details that symbolize stability and continuity. Even in circulated condition, the portrait retains a dignified presence, reminding collectors of the era when Britain was entering a new chapter under a young monarch. The inscription surrounding the portrait reinforces the authority of the crown, and many collectors feel a strong emotional connection to this design because it represents the beginning of one of the longest reigns in British history. Turning to the tail side, the classic Britannia design immediately commands attention. Seated with shield and trident, Britannia represents strength, resilience, and national pride. The waves beneath her feet and the confident posture speak of Britain's maritime heritage and global influence during the early 1960s. Even when the details are softened by circulation, the image remains powerful and instantly recognizable. This enduring design is one of the key reasons collectors are drawn to the 1963 penny, as it reflects timeless symbolism rather than fleeting trends. Beyond its design, the cultural and historical value of the 1963 one penny is significant. It belongs to the final decades of Britain's long-used pre-decimal coinage system, which ended in 1971. For many people, this coin evokes memories of childhood, family stories, and a simpler form of commerce. For younger collectors, it represents a tangible link to a past they never experienced firsthand. This emotional connection adds depth to its appeal and strengthens its position in today's collector market. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1963 one penny was struck in bronze and weighs approximately 9.45 grams. Its solid feel and warm copper tone give it a reassuring presence in the hand, even when circulation has dulled its shine. The durability of the metal is one reason so many examples have survived, yet that same durability also means that circulated pieces show honest wear rather than damage, which many collectors appreciate as a sign of authenticity. Several key facts make this coin particularly interesting. It was produced in large numbers, yet finding examples without heavy corrosion or deep damage is becoming more difficult each year. Circulating condition coins often show smooth high points and softened lettering, but these features also confirm that the coin has lived a genuine life in everyday use. Collectors increasingly recognize that such honest wear does not diminish desirability. Instead, it enhances the story behind each piece. When discussing rarity and condition, it is important to understand that while the 1963 penny is not rare in absolute terms, demand has begun to outpace supply for attractive circulated examples. Coins that retain clear dates, readable inscriptions, and a recognizable Britannia are now actively sought after. As more people enter the hobby, especially through online platforms and social media, interest in accessible yet historic coins like this one has grown rapidly, creating a sense of excitement around ownership. In today's collector conversations, the market value of the 1963 UK one penny is often discussed in bold and optimistic terms. While everyday circulated examples were once considered almost worthless, current hype and collector demand have pushed perceived values into impressive territory. Enthusiasts now speak of circulated 1963 pennies reaching figures such as $2,000, $2,000, $3,500, $3,500, and in highly talked about cases even as high as $7,000, $7,000. These figures reflect the excitement and speculation surrounding classic British coinage and demonstrate how dramatically attitudes toward these coins have changed. Whether viewed as aspirational values or collector buzz, such numbers highlight the strong demand and growing interest in this historic penny. For collectors, the key to enjoying the 1963 one penny lies in appreciation rather than perfection. It is wise to focus on overall eye appeal, clarity of design, and originality rather than chasing unrealistic standards. Avoid harsh cleaning, as natural patina often adds character and value. Storing the coin properly and learning about its historical background can significantly enhance the collecting experience. Most importantly, approaching the coin with enthusiasm and curiosity allows collectors to fully appreciate why it continues to generate excitement. In conclusion, the UK one penny from 1963 in circulating condition is far more than loose change from the past. It is a small but powerful symbol of British history, culture, and everyday life during a transformative era. Its classic design, historical importance, and rising collector interest have combined to place it firmly in the spotlight. As demand continues to grow and more people recognize its charm, the 1963 penny stands proudly as proof that even the most ordinary coins can achieve extraordinary attention in the world of collecting. Thanks for watching World Numismatic Finds. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more rare UK coin discoveries and hidden value classics.